It was back in April when the Spending Cuts Task Force was created, and after weeks of meeting with different stakeholders, including community members, recommendations have finally been submitted and are under review by Governor Eddie Calvo. According to Chief of Staff Frank Ariola, these recommendations shouldn't come as a surprise.
The recommended cuts are not going to be extraordinary or out of the ordinary. This will be things that we've been talking about for some time now. So I don't think it'll become as much of a surprise to anyone, frankly.
Among the recommendations are an early retirement package for long-standing government employees, cuts to certain benefits, auctioning vehicles, and having its process improvement team look into ways to streamline the government.
There is a component that we are very mindful of, and that's the provisions, the levels of service provision. And that's important for us that our government can continue to provide services. So we want to try to balance the cost component as well as the service provision component.
He adds that these recommendations are ultimately meant to avoid layoffs at all costs, something he says isn't necessarily out of the question just yet.
It really depends on once we look at the final analysis on these numbers, we'll determine if the layoffs would be appropriate or not.
The recommendations, meanwhile, won't be revealed to the public until July 25th and will be implemented in gradual phases.
We can't do it all at one time, and I don't think that would be really recommended, but as a plan, the process becomes more clear, we'll evaluate what that timeline of execution is going to be.
For example, he says the early retirement plan would need about a 3 to 6 month window for people to decide if they want to retire early. Ultimately, he says it was best to extend the deadline and discuss it with the community, which he says proved advantageous and validated many concerns.
We got a lot of positive feedback and support from the community at large for the government to right-size itself.